Hello friends, welcome to the Night Watchman channel. Today I'm going to tell you a terrifying and thrilling creepy horror story that will make you feel the chill of fear. If you enjoy my story, don't forget to like and subscribe so I can feel your love and support through your likes and subscriptions. I never thought my life would narrow down to the hum of fluorescent lights and the faint scent of cheap detergent. If you'd asked me a couple of years ago where I'd be by now, I would have said something about settling down. Maybe a small house, maybe a dog, maybe a husband who still looked at me the same way he did at 25. Instead, I was 38, divorced, and working nights at a Dollar Tree in Fairview, Ohio, a town that barely showed up on maps unless you zoomed in real close. 2 years earlier, things looked solid. I had a decent job as a secretary at an insurance firm downtown, a husband named Eric, and a mortgage we could actually afford. Then the layoffs came. The company merged with a bigger firm in Cincinnati, and half the office got wiped clean. I remember sitting in that glass conference room, the HR lady talking in her syrupy, we're all family voice, while she handed me my severance check. Eric tried to be supportive at first, but job loss has a way of dragging cracks to the surface. 6 months later, I found messages on his phone. Her name was Amber, 27, worked in real estate. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He just said, "You've changed, Marissa. You're not the same anymore." By the following spring, I was alone in a one-bedroom apartment above a nail salon, with a fridge that hummed louder than my will to keep going. I applied everywhere, banks, offices, even a diner. But no one wanted to hire someone overqualified for entry-level work. Then I saw the flyer, Dollar Tree, now hiring evening and overnight staff. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't even particularly safe, but it was something. The Fairview Dollar Tree sat on the edge of an aging strip mall, squeezed between a vape shop and a closed-down pet grooming place. The parking lot was cracked, the lights buzzed, and the automatic doors wheezed every time someone walked in. But after a few weeks, I got used to the rhythm of it. The quiet, the tasks, the steady hum that filled the lonely hours. My shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Most nights were dead quiet. I'd restock paper towels, straighten candy shelves, and sweep up glitter from the craft aisle that somehow never seemed to go away. The only sounds were the ceiling fan, the soft thrum of the coolers, and the occasional rustle from the stockroom when the old pipes decided to groan. Sometimes, to keep myself from dozing off, I'd talk to Janine, the only other person who worked the early morning shift twice a week. She was in her 50s, chain-smoked during breaks, and had a laugh like gravel in a tin can. "You'll get used to it," she'd say, lighting a cigarette out back near the dumpsters. "After a while, this place just becomes noise." Maybe she was right, but I didn't want the quiet to become normal. It was a Thursday, October 23rd to be exact. The air had that heavy, damp chill that clings to everything before the real cold sets in. Around 12:30 a.m., I was behind the counter, wiping down the register, when the door chime went off. The man who stepped in looked out of place. He was maybe in his late 60s, neatly dressed, light gray slacks, a tucked-in white shirt, and a tan jacket that looked recently pressed. His hair was silver and perfectly combed. No jacket for the weather, no hat, just him, and a single folded $1 bill between two fingers. "Evening," I said automatically, forcing a smile. He nodded. "Evening, miss." His voice was smooth, calm, like a radio host from another era. He wandered the aisles slowly, almost like he'd been here before. I watched him from the counter as he stopped at the candy rack, picked up a small bag of peppermint discs, and then grabbed a bottle of spring water from the cooler. When he came to the counter, he laid the items down carefully, like setting something fragile on an altar. "Quiet night?" he asked, his eyes steady on mine. "Pretty much," and I said, scanning the barcodes. "Just me and the mop bucket." He smiled faintly. "Quiet can be deceiving, you know." I gave a short laugh. "Yeah? Guess you've seen a few nights like that?" He didn't answer. I handed him his change. But as I did, his hand darted out and wrapped around my wrist. Not hard, just firm. His skin was cold, his grip steady. "Be careful, miss," he said softly. "There's a devil all the time." The air seemed to freeze between us. I stared at him. His eyes didn't blink. Hazel with that faint reflection from the overhead lights, flat and unshaken. Then just as suddenly he let go, tucked the mints in the bottle into his jacket, and walked out. The bell above the door jingled. Through the glass, I watched him cross the empty parking lot. No car, no headlights. Just the faint scrape of shoes on asphalt until he vanished into the dark. The next night, I told Janine, "Creepy old guys love this place," she said with a chuckle. "Last year, one tried to pay with Canadian coins and then offered me a hug for luck." But this didn't feel like that. There was something deliberate in the way he spoke, like he wasn't warning me as much as reminding me. The days that followed were quiet again, until Monday night. Around 12:50 a.m., I noticed headlights sweep across the front windows, then disappear. No one came in. 5 minutes later, they came again, this time closer. I glanced at the security feed. A white Chevy van sat near the curb. No logo, no plates, just blank metal and tinted windows. My stomach dropped. Before I could process it, the front door flew open. The chime banged against the glass. A man in a black hoodie and mask stormed in, pistol raised. "Register!" he barked. "Now!" My hands trembled as I opened the drawer and slid the cash forward. "The safe!" he ordered. "It's on a timer," I blurted. "I can't open it." He cursed, snatched the bills, and sprinted out. Through the front glass, I saw the van peel out into the road. No headlights, no plates, just gone. I hit the silent alarm and sank behind the counter, shaking. The police arrived minutes later, 2 cruisers, lights flashing against the windows. The detectives ran the CCTV footage. The masked man was clear enough, but when the van's door slammed, the dome light flicked on. For less than a second, it illuminated the driver's face. Silver hair, tan jacket, calm, steady eyes. "That's him," I whispered. "That's the man who came in last week." The officers exchanged glances. One scribbled notes while the other replayed the footage. They believed me. 2 days later, Detective Ryan Hale called me. They'd found an abandoned white van down a service road in Millhaven Woods, 20 minutes outside town. A boot print near the driver's door matched one from our store. Inside the van, empty water bottles, a pack of peppermint candies, and latex gloves. And in the woods nearby, a small campsite, a folding chair, a fire pit, empty food cans, and 3 men. 2 were in their 30s, both with records from Indiana for burglary. The third was older, silver hair. His ID read, Walter Crane, 70, of Nashua, New Hampshire. When they found him, he didn't resist. He just looked at the officers and said, in the same quiet voice I remembered, "There is a devil all the time." Later that week, Detective Hale came back. They'd found a second camp deeper in the forest, burned down, half collapsed. Among the ashes, bones, melted coins, and a charred employee badge from a missing convenience store clerk in Vermont. The younger suspects talked about robberies, about rituals Walter made them perform before each job, about purging the devil. But Walter Crane didn't say another word, except at night, in his holding cell. The guard said he'd mutter numbers, dates, and that same chilling phrase over and over. Dollar Tree changed their policies after that. 2 employees minimum after midnight, cameras upgraded, panic buttons at each register. Still, the quiet felt different. Sometimes when I work late, I'll catch my reflection in the freezer glass, tired eyes under harsh lights, and I'll think about that night, the peppermint smell, his grip, the certainty in his voice. I wonder if he meant that one devil walks among us, slipping from person to person, or if he meant there's one in all of us, just waiting for quiet to give it room to breathe. Either way, I keep the doors locked now, and when the night gets too still, I swear I can hear a whisper under the hum of the coolers. There is a devil all the time. Story 2, I never planned to still be living in Bridgerton, Montana by the time I turned 22. Most people my age had already escaped this place, off to colleges in Missoula or Billings, or off chasing work in oil fields and military bases. But me? I was still here, still in the same cracked trailer park on the edge of town, still waking up to the sound of freight trains at dawn. Bridgerton's the kind of town you forget exists unless you're stuck in it. 1 main road, 2 gas stations, a diner that closes at 8, and a Dollar Tree next to a pawn shop. Population just under 4,000. Cold 9 months out of the year. Everyone knows everyone. And if you don't, they probably know your parents. I tried leaving once. I got into community college in Bozeman after high school. Studied for 2 semesters before tuition and rent crushed me. When my dad's health went downhill, I came back home to help mom. Told myself it was temporary, but temporary turned into years faster than I could blink. Mom works at the county library now, part-time. Dad used to be a lineman before a fall off a pole messed up his back. He's been on disability ever since. Between hospital bills and mortgage payments, money's always tight. So when Dollar Tree started hiring for night shift, restocking, cleaning, inventory, I jumped on it. $13 an hour, plus an extra $1 for overnight. Not bad for Bridgerton. That's how I ended up working there, 5 nights a week, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Graveyard shift. Most nights were the same. Quiet aisles, hum of the freezers, cheap fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. We joked that the lights hummed louder when you were tired. I kind of liked the routine. It was mindless work that kept my head clear. I stocked shelves, scanned boxes, swept floors. The store was small, just 6 aisles, but at night it felt endless. There were 4 of us who ran the night shift. Frank, the assistant manager, was in his mid-40s, bald on top, beard going gray. He had this calm way of talking, like nothing could shake him. Used to be a truck driver before his divorce. Then he came back to town for his kids. Always brought black coffee in a thermos that smelled like burnt tires. Tamara, 21, was the youngest. She worked nights because she couldn't find daycare during the day. Her mom watched her baby while she stocked shelves. She had this dry wit that cracked through the monotony. Like she'd point at a pallet of toilet paper and say, "Look, my life in cube form." Ben, 27, handled the register and backroom inventory. Ex-Marine, quiet but kind. Always wore a watch, even though we didn't need one. Said he hated losing track of time. Sometimes when the store was dead quiet, you could catch him humming old country songs while he worked. And then there was Lydia, our shift lead. Late 30s, tough, straightforward. She'd been with Dollar Tree for almost 10 years. Said she'd seen 3 managers come and go. Lydia didn't joke around much, but she treated us fair. Always the first to back us up if a customer got nasty. The job wasn't hard, just dull. You learn to love the little sounds, the beeping of scanners, the shuffle of boxes, the radio static from Lydia's walkie. Nights blurred together until one didn't. It was a Friday night in late October, the kind that creeps in cold and damp. The streets were slick from freezing drizzle, and the parking lot lights reflected off puddles like shards of glass. I was already tired when I clocked in. Had spent the day helping Dad with the furnace again. Inside, the air smelled like lemon cleaner and stale popcorn. Frank was behind the counter sorting receipts. Tamara was breaking down boxes near the candy aisle, and Lydia was checking inventory in the back. "Evening," Frank said, glancing up. "You look half dead, kid." "Thank you," I muttered, hanging my jacket on the hook. "You're glowing yourself." He chuckled. "Fluorescent chic, my favorite look." Ben came out of the stockroom pushing a cart of Halloween decorations. "They want Christmas stuff up by Monday," he grumbled. "It's not even Halloween yet." "That's corporate logic," Lydia called from the back. "Candy corn next to candy canes." Synergy. We laughed. It was normal. It was safe. Around 11:30, the parking lot was empty except for a single pickup by the curb. I noticed it when I took out trash. Old blue Ford, no plates on the front, windows tinted darker than legal. I figured someone from the diner next door parked there. Didn't think much of it. Back inside, we kept working. The radio on the counter buzzed faintly with country music. Frank was counting the till when the door chimed. 3 people walked in. At first, I didn't even look up. You get used to late-night customers, truckers, factory workers, random people chasing energy drinks. But something about these 3 made the air tighten. They were all men, all in dark hoodies, hoods pulled low. One tall, one short, one built like a linebacker. They didn't talk, didn't grab baskets, just spread out. One drifted toward the freezer section, another toward the counter, the third hung by the door. Frank glanced at me. His hand hovered near the phone under the register. "Evening," he said, voice light. No response. Then I saw it. The bulge under the tall one's jacket. Not a phone. Not a wallet. My stomach sank. "Store closes in 30, Frank tried again. "Just a heads up." The tall one looked up. His voice was calm. Too calm. "Won't take that long." He pulled the gun. For a moment, the world froze. The only sound was the buzz of the lights. Then Lydia's voice came crackling over the walkie. "Front check. You guys good up there?" Frank lifted his hands. "Take it easy." "You can have the money." The tall man's gun swung toward me. "Lock the doors." I obeyed. My hands shook so bad I almost dropped the key. When the door clicked shut, the shorter guy killed the lights near the entrance. The store dimmed, shadows stretching long across the aisles. "Everyone on the ground," Tamara screamed. Ben grabbed her arm, pulled her down beside the counter. Frank was already kneeling, eyes fixed on the gunman. "Open the register," the big one barked. Frank hesitated for half a second, that tiny human pause of fear, and the tall one kicked the counter so hard the scanner flew off. "Now!" Frank opened it. The drawer slid out with a clatter. The short man started scooping bills into a plastic bag. The big one moved toward the office door. Lydia appeared from the back just as he reached for the handle. "What the hell?" she started, but froze when she saw the gun. "Keys," the tall man ordered. They're on the hook," she said, pointing toward the wall. He snatched them, then jerked his head at the big guy. "Go!" The next minutes blurred. Drawers opening, safe clanging, Frank whispering prayers under his breath. My pulse pounding so hard it drowned everything else. Tamara started crying quietly, her breath coming in short gasps. The tall one turned to her. "Shut up." She couldn't. Tears streaked her cheeks. Frank shifted closer, whispering, "It's okay. Just do what they say." The tall man's gun twitched. "You want to be a hero, old man?" Frank shook his head slowly. "No heroes here, just people." The silence after that was unbearable. Then, a loud bang from the back room. Everyone flinched. Lydia's scream tore through the store. "Jesus, no!" Before I could move, the tall one turned, furious. "What the hell was that?" Ben bolted. He sprinted for the back, yelling Lydia's name. The gunman swung around and fired. The shot echoed like thunder. Ben dropped halfway to the aisle, clutching his side, eyes wide. He gasped, tried to crawl. Tamara shrieked. Frank lunged forward, instinct more than sense. Another shot cracked through the air. Frank hit the tile face first, blood spreading beneath him. I froze. I couldn't breathe. My brain refused to accept what I was seeing. The tall man turned back, eyes wild. "Nobody move! You understand?" We nodded, trembling. He paced like a caged animal, breath ragged. The other two rushed out from the back with duffel bags full of cash and rolled coins. "Cops will be here any second," one hissed. "We need to go." "Shut up," the tall one snapped. But even he could hear it, the faint wail of sirens, far off but closing. "Move!" he barked. They bolted for the emergency exit by the stockroom. The alarm screamed as the door opened. Then they were gone, just like that. Silence crashed down, broken only by Tamara's sobs. I crawled to Frank. His eyes were glassy, his chest still. My hands hovered uselessly over him. Ben was gasping, blood seeping through his shirt. I pressed my hands there, whispering, "Hold on, man. Hold on." Lydia stumbled out of the back room, her sleeve soaked red. They shot him," she said, voice shaking. "The one with the bag. He shot before I even moved." We stayed like that until the police arrived, blue and red lights flashing through the rain-streaked windows. The rest of that night still plays on a loop in my head. Paramedics rushed Ben to the hospital. He made it, barely. The bullet tore through his ribs and missed his lung by an inch. Frank didn't make it. They pronounced him dead on scene. We gave our statements over and over. Height, voices, tattoos, anything. I mentioned the blue Ford. They found it abandoned 2 miles out, engine still warm. No prints. For weeks, Bridgerton buzzed with rumors. Some said it was a meth crew from Great Falls. Others blamed ex-employees. Nobody knew for sure. Dollar Tree closed for 3 weeks. Corporate came in, replaced the flooring, repainted the walls, installed new cameras. Tried to make it look like nothing had happened. When it reopened, Lydia quit. Tamara transferred to days. Ben took medical leave. I stayed. For reasons I still don't understand. Maybe guilt. Maybe I wanted to prove the store didn't own that memory. But every night, after midnight, the store felt different. Too quiet. Too still. Every time the door chimed, I flinched. Every time headlights swept the parking lot, my chest tightened. You tell yourself time heals, but it doesn't. It just dulls the edges. Last December, on the anniversary of the shooting, Bridgerton held a candlelight vigil in the parking lot. The mayor gave a speech about resilience and community strength. Frank's daughter read a poem about forgiveness. I stood in the back, hands shoved in my pockets, trying not to cry. After everyone left, I lingered by the curb. Snow fell light and steady. The store lights flickered behind the frosted glass. That's when I saw the car, a blue Ford, parked across the street near the old pawn shop. My breath caught. It idled for a few seconds. Then the headlights cut out. I blinked, stepped forward. But when I looked again, the car was gone. Maybe it wasn't the same truck. Maybe it was just someone passing through. But deep down, I knew the truth. Monsters don't always wear masks. Sometimes they blend back into the world, buying coffee at the same gas stations, standing in line at the same stores. And every night when I drive past Dollar Tree, I still see Frank behind that counter, smiling, saying, "Fluorescent chic, kid." And I hear the gunshot that stole him from us. Story 3, I never planned on ending up in a place like Fairfield, Ohio. If you'd asked me a few years ago, I would have told you I'd be somewhere else by now. Maybe in Cincinnati, maybe even Chicago, doing something creative. I was one of those kids who thought I'd get out of my hometown right after graduation. But life has a way of slamming the brakes when you least expect it. After high school, I tried community college. Lasted a semester. My mom got sick around the same time. She was a CNA at a nursing home and blew out her back lifting a patient. Disability checks barely covered rent. My stepdad was already gone by then, and bills started piling up faster than we could open them. I picked up whatever jobs I could, gas stations, fast food, landscaping, but none of them lasted long. By the time I hit 23, I was broke, behind on rent, and one bad month away from being homeless. That's when my friend Chris texted me out of the blue. Chris, "Yo, Dollar Tree on Main, hiring overnight stalkers. You want in? 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Easy money." Me, "I'll take anything." That's how I ended up there. Dollar Tree, number 2, 417, tucked between a rundown laundromat and a vape shop that always smelled like burnt sugar. It wasn't much, but it was something steady. The first night I worked there, it was raining. The kind of slow, misty drizzle that soaks into your hoodie and makes the world feel half asleep. I remember walking up to the store at 9:45 p.m. The parking lot nearly empty except for a single flickering streetlight and a few abandoned carts. The automatic doors were locked, so I had to knock on the glass. Inside, the manager, Rick Daniels, mid-40s, wiry guy with a gray goatee and the permanent look of someone who hadn't slept since 2009, was mopping near the entrance. He looked up when I entered. "You must be Eli." "Yeah," I said, trying to sound confident, even though my shoes squeaked embarrassingly loud. Rick handed me a green apron and a clipboard. "Easy night. You'll be stocking seasonal and facing the front aisles. Around 3, take the trash out to the dumpster. Just," he paused, tapping the list with his pen, "don't prop the back door open." I frowned. "Why not?" He gave me this weird half smile. "Last guy who did that, well, let's just say someone thought it'd be funny to throw fireworks in the dumpster while he was out there. Nearly lost an eyebrow. Keep it shut," I nodded. "Got it." He finished mopping, grabbed his jacket, and looked back at me from the doorway. "You'll get used to the quiet." "Maybe. Lock up when you leave." And then I was alone. Fairfield wasn't exactly a lively town. By midnight, everything went dark except the gas station across the road and the faint orange glow of streetlights. Inside the store, the hum of the freezers and the buzzing of the fluorescent lights filled the silence. Every creak sounded louder. I stocked shelves, lined up rows of fake flowers and plastic Easter eggs, and tried to ignore the uneasy feeling that came with being the only one in the building. Every once in a while, a car would roll through the lot, delivery trucks or cops killing time. At around 2:40 a.m., I wheeled 3 black trash bags toward the back door. The rain had stopped, but the pavement still glistened under the yellow light. The air smelled like wet cardboard and old oil. I unlocked the metal door, stepped outside, and immediately felt that heavy quiet, the kind that sits on your chest. The only sound was the buzz from the overhead lamp, and then faintly something else. A click, slow, irregular. Click, click, click. It wasn't footsteps. It wasn't a branch or dripping water. It was sharper, like metal tapping on pavement. I froze. My eyes scanned the edge of the lot where the light faded into trees. I couldn't see anything moving, but the sound didn't stop. It came again, closer this time. I threw the last bag into the dumpster and hurried back inside, locking the door behind me. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I tried to laugh it off. It's probably a raccoon or something stupid. But deep down, I didn't believe it. At 3:10 a.m., I was checking the register logs when headlights swept across the front windows. I looked up just as a silver sedan pulled into the far end of the parking lot. It didn't park in front of the store, just off to the left near the side wall. The engine idled. I moved behind the candy aisle and peeked through the window. The driver's door opened. A tall man stepped out, wearing a dark hoodie, hands shoved deep into his pockets. He didn't come toward the door. He walked slowly along the side of the building, steps steady and deliberate, like he was counting. I felt the hairs on my arms stand up. I picked up the phone and called the Fairfield Police Department. Non-emergency dispatch, the operator said. Hi, I'm at the Dollar Tree on Main. There's a guy outside walking around the lot. He's been sitting there a while, and it's kind of freaking me out. Can you describe him? Tall, wearing a hoodie. Silver sedan. I can't see the plate. We'll send a unit to check, she said. I watched as he stopped under the streetlight. He bent down like he was picking something up. Then, he turned his head and looked right at me. Even from across the glass, I swear I could feel it, that focus, like he knew I was watching. My stomach dropped. By the time the police cruiser arrived 10 minutes later, the car was gone. Officer Ramirez came in, flashlight in hand. You the one who called? Yeah, I said. He was right out there. Ramirez stepped outside, swept his beam across the lot. Could be nothing, he muttered, but we've had a few weird calls tonight. Keep the doors locked if you get spooked. I nodded, pretending that helped. 2 nights later, it happened again. Same car, same time. 3:05 a.m. The silver sedan pulled up to the same spot, engine idling. I stood frozen behind the counter, hand hovering over the phone. This time, he didn't get out right away. He just sat there, lights off, like he was waiting for something. Finally, the door opened. The man stepped out. He didn't walk around the side this time. He walked straight to the entrance. I ducked behind the shelf, heart slamming, against my ribs. Through the glass, I could see his shape silhouetted under the parking lot light. He crouched down, his movements slow, deliberate, and placed something on the ground in front of the doors. Then, without a word, he stood, turned, and walked back to the car. The sedan rolled out of the lot, headlights still off, disappearing into the dark stretch of Main Street. For a full minute, I couldn't move. Then, against every instinct I had, I stepped to the door and looked down. It was my name tag, the one I'd lost earlier that week. I didn't sleep when I got home. My brain kept looping through every second of that night. Who was that guy? How did he get my name tag? 2 nights later, I was scrolling on my phone before bed when a local news article caught my eye. Gas station clerk assaulted. Suspect still at large. Authorities say the assailant did not take any cash or merchandise. The only item missing from the scene appears to be the clerk's name badge. My chest went cold. The gas station was 3 blocks from our Dollar Tree. I told Rick I wanted to switch to day shifts. He laughed. You've only been here 2 weeks. You'll get used to the nights I didn't argue. But I knew I wasn't staying. That last night, I clocked in at 10, worked like normal, and kept glancing at the front windows. Midnight passed. 1, 2, nothing. At 2:50, I wheeled the trash to the back, trying to convince myself everything was fine. The air outside was still, no wind, no sound, until I heard it. Click, click, click. That same metal tapping, coming from the trees beyond the dumpster. I backed toward the door. The sound grew closer. My hand fumbled for the key. And then, something rolled out of the darkness. A small metal object. My old Dollar Tree name badge. The first one I'd lost. I didn't look back. I slammed the door, locked it, and ran straight to the front, grabbed my jacket, and left. Rick texted me the next day asking if I was coming in. I told him no. I left my apron, keys, and ID badge in a plastic bag on the counter. It's been 3 months since I quit. I work mornings now at a warehouse on the other side of town. The pay's better. The hours are normal, but every time I drive past Main Street late at night, I see that stretch of road, the flickering street light, the empty parking lot, and my stomach knots. Sometimes I swear I still catch a glimpse of that silver sedan, engine idling, headlights off, waiting.